What's up, African Fight Fam? It's your boy JB back here again with another video or another episode of the African Fighters Podcast. I remain JB, as I stated like 2 seconds ago. And today in the panel, I had to literally go and beg Farouk to join. I went privately to to beg Farouk, and Farouk accepted. Ladies and gentlemen, one half of the African Fighters is Farouk Mohammed. Farouk, what's up?
Pound for pound. I'm doing great. Good to be here again.
You said that
Good to be
pound for
here
pound.
again.
Yeah, and well, for the fourth week in a row now, this is a matter of a month. I'm actually surprised by the commitment by my brother, owner, co-founder, or just founder of Combat Sports NG, Swag Daddy, aka Mayowa Balogun. Mayowa, thank you very much. Thank you. And I must add one of your name now, the Oracle. Because in our group chat every now and then Mayowa go come tell us say, yo, I said it, I said so. Any post, I said so. Did I not say so? Yeah. All right.
And
All right,
evidence
guys.
and
There
evidence
is
day. Evidence day.
evidence day. Evidence day. That's right. Well, there they are. Here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the African Fighters. We have Toby, in case you are wondering. That is Toby Aderemi, the poster boy of Bad Internet Connection. He was just with us a minute ago, but unfortunately, as usual, his internet connection, they did not let us introduce him. I'm sure along the line, he's going to pop back in, and then we get to roast him. So, yeah. Without any further ado, before we continue, I'm just going to remind you guys that yes, we are in audio form of podcast. If you miss this video in any reason, or maybe you prefer to listen, your podcast audio listener like myself, because I like listening to stuff when I work. You could get our podcast in audio form everywhere you get your podcast from. And I do you one better. If you would want to be part of the panel and share your opinions, or you have topics that you want us to share our opinions at, please join our Patreon. Pledge any amount, basically from £5 and above, and you get a chance to be part of this. So yeah, now that I have that out of the way, I'm just gonna say our top news today, or our top discussion, will be around Anthony Joshua from last night, Anthony Joshua, and then we'll talk about the 3 African fighters that were fighting in UFC last night, and then we go through our Patreon questions, and then yeah, that would be it. So we've got loads of questions to go today, and we'll try as much as we can to go by them sharply. And for any reason, if you are in our comment section and you would want to chime in the conversation, please feel free to chime in. We would obviously acknowledge you. And yes. All right, so let's start with the top headline today. Anthony Joshua. Question for you guys. Were you impressed by Anthony Joshua's 7th round knockout of Helenius? I'm going to go to our boxing guru. Well, Mayowa fancies himself to be a boxing guy too, because Mayowa is about everything fighting. But let me go to Farouk first. Farouk is like literally the president of Anthony Joshua fan club. Farouk, were you impressed by the 7th round knockout? I must say, before you talk, the last time we spoke about this, you said that you said that if Anthony Joshua doesn't knock out this guy in 5 rounds, that you wouldn't be impressed. But with the way it was devastating, were you impressed?
Okay, let me start this way. First of all, congrats to Anthony Joshua for getting the win. But if I say to you I'm very impressed, I'll be lying to you, and I'm being very biased. So today I'm not going to be biased. I'm going to be as objective as possible. Anthony Joshua got the job done. We're not going to be looking forward to the wider fight, but the knockout was perfect, spectacular knockout. We wanted it to come earlier. Like I mentioned in my prediction, 5 or 6 rounds. Some people even wanted the knockout in the 3rd round. Joshua got the guy hot a couple of times in the fight with his jab, but that I don't know how to put it together. I don't know how to put it. That finishing touches is missing. That right hand, he's kind of been a bit gun shy. That's what I was looking for. He's still gun shy, and it came out clearly in this fight because people keep saying the defeat to Usyk and Ruiz is still haunting him to this day. I kind of want to believe it wasn't the case, but yesterday showed, and it may not necessarily be the case of the previous defeat. What I'm thinking is that Joshua, in a, Joshua still try to impress the fans. That's what I would like to let you know. There's something he said during the post-fight interview. He said, I need a doctor here. My back hurts. And then he said, I'm kind of division on my back. So there's that pressure of him being that guy. He wants to live up to that expectation. So he's still thinking of not going in there and get hot. So back of his mind, I need to get a very good performance. And I also have to be careful so that I don't get knocked out. So I think he's still suspecting his chin. He's still thinking if he gets clipped, he may go down again. So that fear, a lot of things happening to Joshua. So I don't think it was a very good fight for me. That was the first time I was watching Joshua fight and I was browsing on my phone. I'm always focused when I'm watching Joshua, but I got bored from round 3 to round 5 that I was pressing my phone, watching highlights on my phone while watching. I'm being honest. I'm a Joshua fan, and I still believe he's going to beat Wilder, but I want him to have one more fight before the Wilder fight, if possible. He's not there yet. To be honest.
I'm gonna say, I watched this on the Zone. I think it's only the Zone that was showing the fight. And from the broadcast, I was listening to the British broadcast. I'm not sure if there is any other broadcast, but from what they were saying in the broadcast, it sounded like the broadcast were very, very disappointed in AJ in the fact that he was showing too much respect to Hellenius. But I would ask you, Mayowa, because we were all chiming in our group chat when the fight was going on. Can you tell me what your thoughts were when the fight was going when the fight was going on, like when it went deep into the 7th round? What were you thinking?
Well, the thing that worried me in that fight was I think Joshua ate too many jabs, but that should tell you that this guy is similar to when people complain about Easy's fight style and they say, "Oh, Easy is boring." Bro, Hellenius came at Wilder, straight line, chin like this, get knocked out in round 1. Everybody's happy. If you look at Wilder's knockout of Hellenius, it's on the back foot, counter punch, right? If you look at AJ's knockout of Hellenius, AJ is going forward, chasing him to the ropes. This is what you get. Hellenius was knocked out 2 fights ago. He came and he was very disciplined. He used his jab for the whole fight. He wasn't trying to he wasn't throwing, he wasn't coming, he wasn't going crazy, he wasn't pushing the action. And that's what you get in those fights. That's what it is. So I feel like people are on Joshua way too much, right? Everybody else can fight certain way, nobody judges them with the same way that they judge Joshua with, right? I think it was a good fight. I think the only thing, like I said, was his defense wasn't. I think his jab defense is not good. Every time he fights, that eye is always swelling up a little bit, right? Usyk, same thing. I think he needs to work on, just closing his guard a little bit more so he can, avoid those jabs. Apart from that, beautiful performance. He set the guy up, cooked his body, cooked him, set up the shot, landed it around 7. Even if it was 12 rounds, listen, at this point, he needs to just keep winning. Doesn't matter how he wins. He needs to keep winning, keep getting the confidence up, and get to Wilder. Keep getting the momentum up. I'm not worried about how fast he knocks a guy out. These guys are, if you fought the guy on 1 week notice, you understand what I'm saying? So it's not like you train for this guy and you didn't get him out of there. You fought the guy on 5 days notice, you turn around quickly. It is what it is. I'm happy.
Yeah, but I don't know if I can comment, but I get what you're coming. I get what you're saying, Mayowa. But going into a fight with Wilder, you need to be confident. There's that lack of confidence.
What
at this
everybody's saying,
he's gone shy.
I'm sure we'll get there soon. Everybody's saying, "Oh, Wilder this, Wilder that, Wilder is Wilder that." Wilder has made his career off of getting a knockout after he's getting beat the whole fight, right? My opinion is that everybody's looking at Wilder's offense. Wilder also needs to have defense in this fight. I feel like people don't. It's not going to be that. Listen, man, Wilder can knock him out. Wilder's power is unreal. I think we all know that. They've said it for 8 years. Wilder's defense is poor. And if AJ lands on him, he's going to go to sleep as well. So I feel like people just talk about it like, oh, AJ is tentative, Wilder will knock him out. Okay, what happens when AJ lands? And his defense is also porous. So I feel like at this point, let them just make the fight. I don't even care. I don't want to even analyze it again. We've done this in 2015. Make the fight. Whoever wins, wins. Whoever loses, loses. Just make the fucking fight, man. Who even cares? Make the fight right now. Let him fight Wilder next.
Yeah, so from what I understand, Farouk wants AJ to show him more because you have started to lose confidence in Farouk, but in AJ, but Mayowa is saying, yo, AJ is ready, so we are ready to see that AJ versus Deontay Wilder. So a lot of people put comparisons between like how Wilder finished Helenius and then how AJ finished Helenius. Do you think that it's fair to do that comparisons regarding the fact that the style that the way that Helenius approached the fight was different with Wilder, and the way he approached it with AJ was also different? Would you say it's fair to make that comparison, Farouk?
No. Two different fights and two different circumstances. Helenius had full camp against Wilder. A lot of people up to today still question that knockout. The way he fell down flat. People expected, because like Mayowa mentioned, Joshua knockout is more spectacular than Wilder's knockout, to be honest. This was a powerful punch. Wilder was more like a jab and Helenius went unconscious. I myself, I don't know, maybe because I'm a bit biased, I still feel that was not enough to put Helenius to sleep. But you never can tell. Wilder is very strong and powerful, but we cannot compare both fights because Joshua is taking on Helenius on a week's notice. He has been training for a shorter fighter in Dillian White, and now getting Helenius coming in 1 week. And this has happened before in the past with twice in his career against Pulev before 2015. Supposed to fight Pulev for IBF title. Pulev pulled out due to injury, and Carlos Takam stepping on 5 days notice. Then Ruiz's own happened. Supposed to fight Gerard Miller, and then same thing. He failed drug test and all that. So the reason why I'm being I'm criticizing Joshua heavily is because Wilder has not fought in 1 year plus. His last fight was against Helenius a year ago. He'll be going into this fight not going to be as fit as Joshua, and he's going to be going into this fight to get the finish as soon as possible in the first 3 rounds. That's what his coach is predicting, Malik Scott. That Wilder will knock Joshua out in three rounds. And what we saw yesterday, Joshua was kind of like my mentioned, swollen eye, bleeding from the nose. He was touched a lot by Helenius. He made Helenius look like a very spectacular, like a top 10. To be honest, that's why I'm going to be very harsh. I know you still like Joshua, so I like Joshua. You're kind of playing this safe, but Joshua, to me, 6 rounds wasn't bad. 5-6 rounds wasn't bad. Over this one, most people say he carried the fight till 7 rounds, that he did it deliberately just to get that match fitness. Because Joshua had a lot of chance to. That's what is even more worrying. There's a couple of chances where he could knock Helenius out, but he was gun shy. He wasn't sure if to throw the right hand or to wait. What even got me more worried, he was asking his coach in the 5th round, I cannot find my right. I cannot seem to land my right hand. You cannot be asking your coach after 27 fights at this stage, 2-time world champion, telling your coach, I cannot seem to find my right hand in a fight like that. What will happen against Wilder? What will happen against Wilder? No, tell me. If you cannot find your hand.
Listen, I just watched Oscar Valdez fight Navarrete yesterday night. Well, this morning actually, because I slept off. Bro, we watched what's his name? Crawford and Spence. Spence was talking to his coach the same exact way. Like all these things, people just bring them. Like Spence is unified champion 31-0 at the time. He was also lost in the fight, and he said it to his coach. Like these are things that your coach is teaching you. You are going through the emotions in the fight. There's nothing wrong with that. Like all these criticisms. When is Joshua? They bring it up. It's like
2015. 2015 last week. 2015, 2017. Sorry, what? 2015. So let's be honest. 2015, 2017. Joshua will put Helenius out. Joshua
put everybody. He said he's a fighter. He wants to last longer. He doesn't want to be in brawls anymore. He has said it multiple times. He said it. I watched all his interviews this week. He said he wants to change his style. He doesn't want to be a brawler who just goes in there and bangs and makes people happy. He wants to have a longer career. Yeah, I said it before now. He wants to become a better boxer. He literally said it. That's why he changed his style for Usyk. He lost weight. He has been trying to become a better boxer for a long time, right? If I said he said it again. I just watched an interview a few hours ago with Fight Hub. He said he's not going to go in there and bang with Wilder. He wants to try to take his attributes away and pick him apart. He said it again. So people are not listening to what he's saying. He's saying it over and over. He's trying to become a better boxer. That's what he's doing. It is what it is. It is what it is. I think, listen, I don't even care anymore. Just make the fight and let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Before we continue, I would want to take a few seconds to introduce our boy, the poster boy of bad internet connection. Ladies and gentlemen, from Lagos Island, Nigeria, in Ikotun, ladies and gentlemen, Toby Aderemi. Toby, you are 15 minutes late. What is your excuse?
I've been struggling with my internet too. I've been struggling, but better late than never. So, what's up, guys? How is everything going?
And it appears that I think Farouk might have lost connection from his webcam. Probably forgot to charge the batteries, and now he's on his laptop webcam. So, yeah. All right. So I'm gonna say this right before we leave this because we have a lot to talk about, guys. Let me say this right. Because matchups in boxing is crazy. It takes forever for matchups to happen. We only saw free flow of matchups happening when AJ was champion, right? But how soon can this AJ Wilder fight actually happen? Do you actually think there's a legitimate shot of it happening, or is there any reason why it wouldn't happen? Why is it taking too long? Well, Mayo, you go first.
Okay, so I think based on what Eddie has been saying since the beginning of the year, honestly, the plan was supposed to fight twice, fight Wilder in December or January. I think that's the plan. But yesterday, AJ said he wants. Give me 1 second. AJ said he wants to fight 2 more times this year, right? And there's also the Andy Ruiz fight that Andy and Wilder have been talking back and forth a little bit. I feel like they're going to fight 1 more time. It's possible that they fight 1 more time before they fight. I think they might fight maybe next spring. It's possible. Eddie is still saying January. Apparently, the Saudi guys were there yesterday, and they're still pushing for January. I just have a feeling in my heart that Ruiz and Wilder will still fight, and AJ might get 1 more fight this year. That is not Wilder, because he's still adamant. I don't know if you guys are following the post-fight stuff that's been going on. He's at the end, he's saying January, Wilder is the next fight. AJ is like, I want to fight 2 more times this year. And he has said it in multiple interviews since yesterday, right? So I feel like they're going to fight 1 more time each, but I hope it's January. I think AJ is ready to fight in January, but if they get 1 more fight in, why not? Let's.
Okay, Farouk, how about you? How do you see this happening with all this boxing negotiation being as crappy as it always is?
Yeah, I think they're just playing mind games. I think I'm going to go with Eddie. Although AJ say he promised the fans like my mission 3 fights in a year, so 2 now remaining 1. It would be good to see AJ come out in October if the fight is going to be in January. But Eddie Han will not allow that because that's another risky fight. Both of them are guaranteed to make close to $50 million each. So I'll say for sure, because what Eddie said in an interview is that Shelley Finkel, the promoter or manager of Deontay Wilder, was asking them to get the job done. Let them get this job done so that they can sign that contract, because the contract is still not yet signed. And Prince Khalid, the Saudi guys, the guy running Skills Challenge in Saudi, was there in attendance yesterday. So I can tell you from what I can see and what I know in the past, this will be the next fight. Maybe Wilder will fight somebody else, but I don't think Wilder will want to gamble as well. Wilder is a guy that want to preserve and make, because even during the fight, when Joshua was fighting Helenius, they interviewed Malik Scott, which is Wilder's coach in the dressing room after his fighter lost to Gerard Washington lost to Chisora. So he made it Joshua land that knocker. He was celebrating that this is big, this is good. We're going to get the fight in January. So I don't think anybody will want to take chances going forward. It's going to be January or December. Joshua won December. Eddie said it's January, so we'll see what happens. If it's
All right.
most likely, Saudi guys like putting event in December, so they may negotiate and talk about this. But I think Joshua has advantage.
But December is not likely.
Not likely,
December
right?
is not likely. It's going to be January.
Okay.
You to do it.
All right. So there's a question here inspired by Christopher Graham from our Patreon. You can join Patreon and send your questions too. Christopher Graham was talking about the workout for Anthony Joshua. Like he says, it's like a rendition of like the Godfather movie with the violinist on stage. I think this isn't really new with AJ. AJ likes to do some like proper packaging, except when he was about to get his titles back from Andy Ruiz. But like AJ's branding is very, very on point. So the question be say, should like organizations like the UFC, this is an old conversation, but should organizations like the UFC start paying attention to fighter intros or fighters workout? Toby, you want to go first because you haven't said anything. I hope your internet will let you.
All right. Yeah. So for the walkout yesterday, if you were listening to Eddie Hearn's post-match fight and everything, he was kind of like alluding to the fact that AJ was trying to just get himself up for the fight. That fights like against those type of guys don't really give him the juices, and also I guess the Godfather thing was just like, okay, it's just another body, it's just another like professional type thing. But I feel like the branding, as you said, should UFC and other organizations, I think definitely. I think as little as the music you work out to, all of that is very important in pushing your fighter, in creating buzz among the fans and all. So yeah, definitely whatever you can use to promote yourself and your fighters, why not?
I remember AEW being a pro wrestling company, right? There's this guy called Tony Khan, the owner of AEW. There's this fighter called Daniel Bryanson. He is Daniel Bryan of WWE. He fights in AEW. So he had the final countdown as his entrance music for their last AEW pay-per-view. And the owner of the AEW said it was a one-time thing because to get rights to play, to sign off for them to allow to play that music, the money was worth a fighter's contract. So with that being said, UFC allows its fighters to actually pick any song they wish to work out to. So I think they pay a lot of royalties when it comes to, there's a lot of money that involves when you play pop music. But
They don't.
there's also some restrictions that the UFC have been doing. Like when who is the king of bravado? And Adesanya got to do like a dance thing every time he tries to up his antic. Kamaru Usman tried to do something, but the UFC shut it down. I think they don't want the fighters to go crazy about workout songs and intros. I remember Dana White talking about, like, I think it was the time of Pride, when fighters would work out, like the time of their Tito Ortiz and all those guys. I'm not sure if it's Pride, but they had like WWE style stage where they'll work out with proper music and fireworks. But then they would work out and then end up getting knocked out. So basically, Dana, being like a old boxing fan, he prefers the old school boxing workout. So that's what I can say from the UFC point of view. But I'm just going to say one more thing. The first time that AJ played an African music as a workout song, he got knocked out. It was in Madison Square Garden against Andy Ruiz, and the song he walked out to was "Ye" by Burna Boy. I was so pumped when I saw that saw that happen, and he got knocked out. Mayo, you were going to say something. I'm sorry, I rambled. You probably have
I
to
just want
go.
to say that they don't pay. UFC doesn't pay a license fee for that. For the most popular songs, under something called a blanket license that the venue pays for automatically. So there's no special payment, except maybe like the one that you can't do. That's a rare. Most songs are under a blanket license and they're covered automatically. And Dana doesn't like to. The UFC doesn't like personal branding at all. It's not about what it's not about Dana being old school. UFC doesn't want. UFC is more focused on building their own brand and not the fighters building their own personal brands. So they make it very difficult for fighters to build their own personal brands, and that's what it is.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Farouk, you've got an opinion about this? You're just nodding your head.
Not so much. I agree with my one more because like Dana White try as much as possible to shut down anything like that, like the boxing, because all you're seeing is kind of comparing this to boxing. But you see boxing, they do the workout, they get like a musician to work the fighters out, singing and all that. US will never allow that. Dana White don't want anything like such. I mean, I don't know if it's due to the high pace of the event, the
Yeah, well,
workout.
then I think the UFC allows a fighter to work out with a fighter, but not collect the mic and be
Oh,
performing the
really?
songs.
Okay, okay.
Like the way like Eminem came out with
Crawford.
what's this guy that Crawford recently. He wasn't really singing the song. He was just like, "Yo, it's the next champion," blah 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 blah, and then he walked with him, but the music was playing in the background. But yeah, yeah, I think that's enough for AJ. We spent 25 minutes talking about him, and let's go. Yesterday, yesterday, guys, the UFC had 3 Africans in the fight card, right? So it was Africa versus the world yesterday. JP Bays from South Africa, Tafon Chukwi from Cameroon, and Min Hakeem Dawodu, Nigerian. And if you were watching, we went 0-3, we the Africans. So let's talk about JP Bays. All right, JP Bays now is, I believe, 0-4 in the UFC, and that's always a sign of a fighter being X'd. Um, We've seen that countless times, unless maybe you are like one of Dana White's favorites. But what do you think is, because okay, so what we know about JP Bays, he in the past he was battling his girlfriend turned wife, former UFC fighter who cheated on him and ended up being a bit of the dick, being a bit of a D word to him, and she was his key, or she was his key to his work permit in the US or visa situation. I can't remember what deal it is, what type of documentation that was, but she ended up declining to help him regarding that. He ended up not being able to fight, but I understand now that he can fight in the UFC. Obviously, some things have been sorted. But does this mean that JP Bays has to like maybe go check out the PFL, the Bellator, and see what's out there, or come back to South Africa, help out with the EFC, open a gym? What do you guys think? Because he's relatively young. I can't remember what his age is. He should be in his early 30s, right? Um, what do you think is next for JP Bays? I will go to Farouk first, then I will circle around.
Yeah, so I think the whole situation is kind of unfortunate what happened to him. I think it kind of demoralized him. Issue with his wife, not being able to fight for over a year, injury problem, coming back, losing. So that inconsistency are all true. But like you mentioned, I believe that's behind him now. He has sorted his visa and all that. What would be better for him? I think I'm kind of trying to advise. I don't think he should go back to Africa to EFC. I think he can stay in the US, go to some kind of regional promotion. Similar approach with Impa, what Impa did. Go to some ex MMA promotion, LFA and so on, and try to get himself back to top promotion. Because I don't think promotion like PFL won't take him up, or promotion like Bellator. Having 4-0 your last 4 fights, losing all 4 fights, no top promotion want to sign you, to be honest. So stay in the regionals in the US if he has a visa. Worst case scenario, maybe go to UAE Warriors, Brave, but not going back to the EFC. I see like a demotion for him. That's my take, and that may affect him more if you go back to Africa. It may be difficult for him to come back to the US, and that may haunt him for a long time. But progress with his career, take it, and then just keep going forward. That's my advice. I would say in that situation, or in this situation for JP.
Yeah. Yeah, so the UFC fans and MMA fans, they are very forgiving when it comes to fighter records. Where our brain is, we remember the last fight most of the time. JP Bay's record is 9-6, which is not very cute. Um, as you can see here, some of the fights were very unfortunate that he lost them. But Maiwa, what do you think be the next steps for JP Bays, man?
Yes, I agree with Farouk 100%. I don't think he's not been good enough in the UFC. Like, I know things have happened to him, but I think MMA fighters, you have to deal with things. And he's just not been good. I've watched all his fights, and because he did very well in the Contender Series to get in the UFC, and he's just not been good enough in that time. and he has gotten like dropped a lot of times. Man, he needs to go and build himself back up. Regional circuit. I think he trains with Aljo, so I'm sure they'll be able to put him in all those regional fights in New York and things like that. Let him just get himself back up, get 3-4 wins in a row, and go to the PFL. Not even Bellator, PFL is where he needs to go, so he can make that money. But I think it's done, man.
I'm gonna say this. According to his record here, it appears that since his win in Contender Series, he's fought in the UFC officially 4 times and he has won none. So that must be a bummer for him. Yeah, that must be a bummer for him. We wish JP was obviously here at African Fighters. We wish him all the best. So in our comment section, we have Demola. Demola used to be part of us until he went on hiatus. Yes, Demola said, "Not again, Toby." He's talking about your internet connection, Toby, by the way. And he's saying Dawodu was robbed badly and sadly. Yes, Demola, the next topic we were going to talk about was Hakeem Dawodu robbed against Swanson. I'm gonna be straight with you guys.
Let me vanish.
Wait, Farouk, calm down now, calm down. You get some parts where I need you. I know say you probably did not watch the fight, so I'm not going to get to you.
Yeah, to be honest.
So don't worry. We're not going to reach you. So no louder. So I myself didn't watch the fight when it was going on because I watched the AJ fight and I went to bed. The next morning I saw you guys blowing up like, yo, that was a robbery, blah 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 blah. The Verdict MMA, the scoring platform, also had Hakeem Dawodu winning. The only round that was close was the third round. Maiwa, you were watching that in live, and I saw your comments in the group chat. You were like really, really pained about this. Can you tell us what you think about the officiating and how Hakeem was robbed?
You have to watch the fight. If you watch, just start. If you go to like if you're watching the fight in the UFC fight part or whatever, just go to the end where they're announcing the results and look at Cubson and his reaction to being called the winner. He himself was congratulating Hakeem Dawodu for winning the fight, and he has confessed by himself that he didn't think he won the fight. In the post-fight interview and in the press conference after, right? Obviously, he now added this by I'm hard on myself too much. But he clearly doesn't still believe that he won the fight. That's how clear it is. The fighter that they give the award to doesn't believe he won. And he's an honest guy, old, honest veteran. Didn't think he won the fight. That's the clearest thing I can tell you as the reason why there's no way. It was a bad robbery. It wasn't that debatable.
It was very obvious that he won the first 2 rounds. It wasn't like something that was like, oh, it's close round. Maybe it goes both ways.
Sorry, second thing I wanted to add very quickly. The odds at the end of the fight were minus 1100 for Dawodu to win the fight. Like odds before the fight ended, minus 1100. Say no more.
So basically, even the bookmakers were watching the fight, and when the live odds were coming in, they were stacking it up against Cobb. Well, that's a bummer. Toby, did you get to see it? Because you told me you recorded it in your DVR.
Yeah, I watched it. I watched it before I came on here. I definitely agree that he was robbed, yeah, but personally, I wasn't too happy with Dawodu's performance in general. I expected him to completely dominate the fight, like probably finish itself. But that aside, I think he was definitely robbed. I think he should have won. I mean, Swanson was literally like applauding Dawodu at the end of the fight. Like, fair play. But in the grand scheme of things, I expected him to be a lot more dominant than he was.
Yeah, I would say that's it's very unfair. Unfortunately, nothing is going to happen about the judging and the judges. I guess we move. All right, next, we're just going to talk about UFC being petty with the Francis Ngannou and Tafon Nchukwi. So, Tafon Nchukwi is a Cameroonian fighter in the UFC, right? And when he was doing his entrance, the UFC in the lower thirds where they put like the name of the fighter and all the records and stuff, you could see that the broadcast team of the UFC or the production team of the UFC decided to write that the only Cameroonian fighter in UFC history. So we knew that there was a Cameroonian fighter in Francis Ngannou, who was a champion. And wait, I'm just trying to pull up while I'm talking. I'm just trying to pull up the picture of uh of what was said. Ish, I couldn't find it. But anyways, Francis Ngannou came out on his social media and posted like, "Oh, you can never, Kiniko,
You cannot
you can
erase.
never down."
You can't erase
Let me
history.
throw this. Erase history. Yeah, that's it. Let me throw this to Mayo. Mayo was Combat Sports NG made a piece about the first ever Cameroonian guy to fight in the UFC. I believe me and Farouk in our own company as well, or MMA Media as well, we did a top 10 African champions of all time, and he was also in that list of ours. So that person is, holy smokes, I forgot his name. Uh,
Sokoju.
Nj-
I don't know.
Nkoju, right?
I don't know how they say the name. Sokoju. That's how I say
Sokoju,
it.
yeah.
Oh,
Sokoju. Rumour.
Sokoju,
Yeah. That's the name.
Sokoju. Yeah, he spent a lot of time in Japan, didn't he? So
Yes.
yeah. So my question is this: do you think that the UFC deliberately did that? Because I'm trying to
Obviously.
figure out, is Dana White petty enough to be like, oh, in my broadcast write this, or in my broadcast don't write this, or do you think it was just, yeah, an honest mistake?
Who's doing first?
It can't have been a mistake. It can't be a mistake. Ngannou was just, he wasn't like, okay, so Sokoju, fair enough, right? It's many years ago. He fought in many, at the time he was in the UFC, but he kind of bounced around through every promotion, right? So he didn't, I think he had two UFC fights, I think, right? So you can start forgetting Sokoju. And by the way, that's why we need to keep our history that's why we started that series on African combat history, to let guys know, because the same thing happened with Kamaru. People thought it was the first Nigerian UFC fighter, and there's about 2 or 3 fighters that fought of Nigerian heritage before Kamaru came to the UFC. Shout out to senior brother of Chidi Njokwani, Anthony
Anthony,
Njokwani,
right?
legend.
Anthony
Yeah,
Njokwani.
so that's why we need to keep our history. That's why we in the media, we need to put the history out so people can know what happened before these guys got there. But clearly, Ngannou was the champion literally till 2023 January. This is not a guy that was. It's not like Usman or Easy, who's like, I was born in Cameroon but I lived in America. This is a guy that came literally across the Sahara Desert from the same Cameroon. There's no way they didn't remember him. There's no way. So obviously, and Dana is petty. I think we've heard enough stories of Dana's pettiness, even from his own mom in her book, by the way, which you can read if you want. So Dana definitely, I'm sure, was involved, and he said, you know what, put it like that. I'm sure.
Yeah. Speaking about that, then I was UFC Vice President VP for like international relations did mention Cameroon might be one of the destinations where UFC Africa will happen. Do you think it's also one of those pettiness that be like, Francis Ngannou, you're not with us. We don't have a Cameroonian fighter, and we'll put UFC Africa in your country.
They'll put it there, and guess what they'll do? They'll find a way to try to not make Ngannou come. But it's his country, they can't deny him coming. But they'll try. They'll try not to give him a good seat or something crazy.
All right, let's go to the. All right, this is the point of the podcast where I would remind you guys, if you want to be part of the brotherhood, this brotherhood, you could pledge in Patreon, yeah, and be one of the brothers. You could come here, share your opinions, pledge $5 and above, and you could be one of the brothers in the brotherhood. Toby left and came back. He's back again. All right. So the next questions that we have till the end of the pod are all questions from our Patreon. You can also have yours down here and we can talk about it. We're going to quickly go through this, ramble through them real quick instead of spending a lot of time. So the first one. Is Dricus Duplessis forgotten about? After Strickland versus Adesanya, obviously, what are your predictions for the next challenger at middleweight, Dricus or Khamzat Chimaev? A lot of people are thinking if Khamzat beats Paulo Costa, it is clear cut that he is going to fight Adesanya. A lot of people, obviously, fortunately for Dricus, the fight for Costa and Khamzat Chimaev is after Dricus versus after Adesanya versus Strickland. So, and Adesanya likes to define where his career goes. He likes to say, this is what I'm doing next, this is what I'm doing next. And I'm pretty sure if he beats Strickland, he's going to grab the mic and pretty call out Dricus. That's my opinion. But do you think he's going to be petty and be like, nah, I'm not giving it to you, Dricus? But again, is Dricus forgotten about? Mayowa, you go first.
No. I don't. I've gone first twice in a row. Let the people go first.
Okay.
Please.
Okay,
Let's
so
give
let me.
Toby. Let's give Toby.
Why you can't they point me for?
Fire on.
Okay. I don't think we've spoken about this before. I don't believe that Khamzat beating Paulo Costa is enough to give him a title shot. I don't think Izzy is going to, because it's not like it's an easy matchup for Izzy too. I think that's one of the most difficult fights for him in that division, the Khamzat fight, just because of how good Chimaev is, as a wrestler. So I think he beats Strickland, and I think, because personally for Izzy, he wants to fight with Dricus. He has wanted that fight for a long time now. And I think, if he wins against Strickland, which he most likely will, I think still, I agree with JB. I think he goes out because and they do something.
Oh gosh. All right. I think we lost Toby there.
So
Farouk, you were going to go. Sorry.
yeah, I don't want to say. I think Drico is still part of the mix. I think it depends on what happened, and so far after the whole injury situation, he has went quiet. So I think for that reason, I think Izzy will put him back on the line, because Izzy really wants to beat Dricus Duplessis. That's for sure. They don't like themselves. They don't like each other. But assuming Dricus went online rambling, ranting, calling out people, insulting people, Africa, real Africa, but he's not quiet, staying minding his own business, which is a good thing to do. If you know you cannot fight, stay quiet. So for that reason, I think he's still part of the mix. I think Izzy go past, just like you mentioned at the start, Izzy beat Strickland and then call out Dricus and say, I want to see you duck again next time. If you duck again next time, I'm not giving you the shot. Just kind of way of bringing that fight, bringing that conversation back again. So I think Dricus is still part of the whole. He's going to be the next challenger for the title.
One thing I hope Izzy to do is to push for UFC Africa, because like if he fights, that would be like the final quota of 20. It's next month, right? So he would likely fight in the first quarter of 2024. Maybe him saying, Dricus, you are next, and I'm going to do it on the motherland, right? I think maybe that will push UFC's hand to kind of like facilitate UFC Africa to actually happen. But Mayo, what do you think?
I just finalized my thoughts on this currently. I'm going to make a prediction here right now. Is he going to call out Dricus for December?
Wait, ladies and gentlemen, if I have a bell, I will ring it. Bagang, the oracle is talking. Oh yeah.
He's going to call out Dricus for December or January of this December this year or January next year. He's going to tell him, listen, if you don't take the fight December or January, that's it. Right.
I agree.
I was thinking he was going to call out. I was thinking that he would try to. I've said it before. He's going to try to go up and fight, Jiri. But I think that fight, they haven't made the Pereira and Jiri fight, which is obviously next right now. So I think there's no time for him to get that fight done quickly. So I think he's going to call out. He's going to beat Strickland. He'll probably still be healthy. He's going to call out Dricus this year or early next year, first month of the year.
All right. So, I just remembered our boy Yagi, right? Yagi was the one that was laughing at Strickland when he fought Alex Pereira. And when Strickland was doing that thing. Oh, God. Yeah. You guys posted that on your page too. All right. Let's move to the next one real quick. Yeah. Any thoughts on the rumor that Bellator 300 will be the last ever event before being sold to PFL? When I saw this in our Patreon, shout out to Christopher Graham, legend. It was news to me at first. It was news to me, but what do you guys think? I would go to Mayowa first, because I'm not sure Farouk is very. Farouk, do you know about this?
I've heard it's like a rumor. I've heard it several times saying Bellator are leaving and they're going to be sold to PFL. So I don't know how.
So Bellator is for sale.
Okay.
They've been for sale for a while. I think Scott Booker, the president of Bellator, has confirmed it, that they're in talks with a lot of owners, including the PFL. This sounds like incredible rumor. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't heard this rumor specifically, but I know that they have been for sale for a while actually, and they've been trying to negotiate with different people. I think this is going to be a good end for them. 200 May events. I think this is a very credible rumor, and I think for me, Bellator and the PFL, they have to get that job done. I think combining those two rosters together and competing with the UFC is PFL has a lot of money, man. I don't know where the money is coming from, but I think it's a good deal. Yeah,
maybe so.
Love celebrities as well. The only issue with that merger is I don't know how they go forward. Are they going to put Bellator fighters on that same playoff schedule? Because there are 8 fighters that they can pick every year, right? Per division. So they're going to expand
guys,
the playoff schedule.
we have a whole lot. We have a whole lot to go through. Sorry. No.
Yes, I think it's a.
But JB, I think the owner of Bellator came out to say that they're already planning 301 and 302. That there's nothing in the rumors. I think he has cleared the air on that.
Oh wow.
Okay.
So I think it's probably like PR even to make I think everything is just PR. The rumor,
but they're for sale.
Just to push the. Yeah, definitely.
All right, you heard it. Toby, the PFL guy. Oh, okay, Farouk, if you go, no wahala. But I'm going to say special thank you to Farouk. I know he was very busy. I had to force him to come on the show. Thank you again. Next week I'll force you again. Thank you.
Next week we'll see. We'll talk more.
We will see. We will see. Abi, you'll be here. Oh, yeah, be going, sir. Yeah. All right. So oh god damn, I look fine on this camera. So the next one. Could you see Mike Tyson fight on the Nganou Fury card? Fedor, Emelianenko, and John Fury have both called him out. Frankly, this is something I don't want to see. When Tyson fought Sugar Ray, he fought Sugar Ray in that what's the name of those guys that started their gimmicky boxing event? The one that had
Logan Paul.
Those Logan Paul. No, there's this company that used to be on social media that used to have was the TikTok before TikTok came.
Thriller.
What are those guys called?
Thriller.
There was
Thriller.
Oh, Thriller. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the Thriller. Yeah. So the Thriller card. Yeah. Tyson Fury. Mike Tyson did his comeback fight there. Very uncomfortable for me to watch, but yeah. Now people are still thinking that because of how related to the Tyson Fury to the Ngannou fight he would likely fight in the undercard. Is this something you'd want to see, Toby?
No. These people are taking this gimmick boxing thing to another level. I mean, you don't need to give it a rest. Just let the man be. Let's have lines that define this gimmick boxing thing. Let's not go too far.
I'm gonna tell you this. For the past 15 years, we have a Nigerian called Bashali. Bashali has been putting pressure on the Nigerian government, protesting so many times since I was young, till now, that he wants to break Guinness Book of Record, being the oldest man to win a world title. That the Nigerian government should come and fund it. This minister go promise today, this minister go promise tomorrow. In don't do protest here. I'm former boxer, Bashali, blah, 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 blah. That happened a lot of times. So I never thought in my lifetime I would actually see where old men will actually box until that Mike Tyson thing happened. But Mario, what do you think?
Listen, man, you people are crazy. Put him on there, man. Put him right there.
Oh, yeah.
Do you see how he looked? But do you see when he's punching the bags? It looks good, boy. Put him in there.
He looks good. If he looks good if the person he's punching is not moving. But if the person he's punching punches him back as an old man, I don't want to see him get knocked out in his old age.
Ain't nobody trying to see Mike Tyson get knocked out.
No. Time out. Think about this. First of all, before Roy Jones, he beat him up, right? Even though it was exhibition. Roy Jones was doing stick and move, and Tyson was putting it on him. So Tyson didn't look bad in that fight either. Now, if you're fighting John Fury, who's Tyson Fury's father, who's a semi-pro boxer, or Fedor, who's like 285, and is not a great boxer, he's a great MMA guy. I don't think the risk to Fury to Tyson is that plenty with these two guys. Please put them in there.
I swear.
They can't kill them.
I swear, a stiff
Put them
jab
in
to
there.
Tyson Fury, he's going down. Mike Tyson, a stiff jab, he's going
From
down,
who?
and for
From
his
Fedor?
old age.
From Fedor? From Fedor or from John Fury, who's like
Like
85 years
from
old?
any heavyweight, a stiff jab
No,
where
look at the
is
guys
very
that-
loaded.
Your question is very specific. Look at people that are there. Fedor and John Fury. Those are people that he's fighting. They're not better than Mike Tyson right now. Ever. It's not possible.
Okay.
You should worry about.
All right.
worry about them.
Maiwa, look at it from this angle, yeah. Like, I don't know about boxing to be specific, but in other sports, yeah, you like to go out and your last appearance to be something that people remember. Like, okay, this guy was right there at the top. I feel like all these fights, all these unnecessary fights, just seem to like reduce how great we know Mike Tyson to be in our head. Like, the image we have of him.
I agree with you. When you put a young guy with an old guy, yes. When there are two old guys that are both retired, why fuck that? Knock yourselves out, please.
Well, you like to be remembered unless you are Ric Flair. Ric Flair has had 7 last fights ever, last wrestling matches ever, 7 times. He literally just had one last year. So, all right. Yeah. So another question from Christopher Graham. Why is MMA so much less popular in East Africa and the Horn of Africa compared to West and Southern Africa or even North Africa? So when we're talking about East Africa, we're talking about the Tanzanians of the world, the Kenyans of the world, Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Djibouti, those places. And when you actually sit down to think about it, the only East African fighter I know of head is because we were relating with them recently, is Mohammed Juma from South Sudan, but in actual reality, he is based in Egypt. He learned to fight there. But this question is really interesting. Why is MMA not so popular in Eastern Africa? Is this something that you guys have thought about? We go to Mayowa first.
I think it's easy. I think you already gave the answer. Is the fighters make it popular, right? When there's a fighter from that country, people start to embrace it more. If you look at every country that the sport is popular in, fighters are there. And it's hard to find a sport. A country that is popular, that has popular MMA fight, that is popular for MMA, that doesn't have fighters representing them. So I think when you start to get people that train and get to high levels of the sport, maybe the UFC, then the sport will go there. And that's just what the difference is.
if you think about it, like for example, now Ethiopia has like the second largest population in Africa, apart from Nigeria, I believe. So they have tons and tons of people there. But according to what you said, man, if you use the same ideology of population, why is India not good in football? Why is China not good in football? Because they don't really have the interest that much, do they? Why is Ethiopia not good in football? Right? They are only good in marathon and long distance racing. So it kind of makes sense from there. But as you said though, Mayowa, if somebody from that country becomes popular and become really, really prime time in MMA, then we'll probably start hearing from them. But with that being said, what do you think, Toby?
I think maybe culture has a little bit to do with it. For instance, if you take a look at the West African countries, Nigeria, all of us played football growing up because that's just what was popular growing up. If you look at the Eastern African nations, I'm sure a lot of kids who will probably not end up being professional, like long distance runners, will probably have tried it, maybe growing up or something. So I think I agree with Mayowa. It's not just what they are used to there. But I think they do have a couple of fighters. You just need to like look, maybe not at the highest levels, but yeah, I think it is growing. It's growing. I think Onama is from Uganda, right? I'm not even sure.
Who?
But I think
Yeah, he's
Onama
from
is from
I think Uganda isn't it classified to be South Africa?
I believe so. That's after East and South. It's very true.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to one more. Actually, there's quite a few, but let's just do this. So, any thoughts about the potential Usman Thompson fight? This is something I personally don't want to see, because it does nothing for Usman, and
Exactly.
it wouldn't be a headliner
nothing does
fight.
anything for him. He's the number one guy in the division. Who was he going to fight? If he doesn't fight Bella, he has already beat Kobe. He has already fought Leon twice. He has beat Kobe. Who is he going to fight? Bella is number 3.
Mayo,
He has beat Bones,
beating
number 4.
Bella. Him beating Bella does a lot more for him than beating Thompson.
Bella doesn't want to fight him. He has already said he has called Bella out twice. Bella says waiting for the title. What's he going to do?
The only thing that you can get from fighting Steve Thompson is if he loses credibility.
It's a fun fight.
If he beats Thompson,
with two old legends. Yeah, but like he stays active.
Yo,
that's an active fight.
My one fight sentiment.
No. Listen, who will he fight? I've just told you that you beat Kobe, right? You beat Kobe, you fought Leon, you fought Bones, you beat Bones. Who is he going to fight? Go on the rankings right now and pick who's going to. You want to fight Shavkat Rakhmonov?
Why
is that
not?
What you want? A tough young guy. Why? Let me tell you. What happened when he beat Shavkat Rakhmonov? He wasn't good. That's the problem of fighting a young guy who has hype. Is that when you beat him, he wasn't good anyway. Right?
I don't think anybody.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
what?
But Usman beating.
Sean Brady just lost to Bilal. He wasn't good anyway, right? Sean Brady was 15-0.
Yeah, that's right.
Contender. He loses round 1. He wasn't good anyway. This happens all the time, every single time.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess
But do you think that beating Bilal Mohammed would take his title? Would take him back to the title?
Yes, similar to Oliveira, just beating what's that boy's name, number 4, the Benny Dariush. That's what we need right there.
That's
Bilal.
right.
Pick up the call, Bilal.
But I think it depends on who wins Leon versus Kobe. That might just slightly
either or.
Chance
It's a rematch. You know? They're all rematches for Usman.
But I feel like if Leon beats Kobe, we might not want to see Usman Leon again that early. Do you get my point?
No, Usman has no time. He has to get it immediately. He no get time. Let's check.
Watch Usman Leon 6 more times. Not because I be.
Let's check what Demola is saying. Demola is saying MMA is not popular in East Africa basically because of genes. West Africans and South Africans tend to have body build-ups that are well suited for combat sports. It's a nature thing. He went further and said, their culture and geography always plays a factor. Their ecosystem supports adaptability for being endurance athletes. So that means, say, if they learn how to wrestle, they will never get tired when they start wrestling.
That's what I'm saying. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And they have long bodies for their good boxing.
Y'all just took everything that King Dame said and then used it to fuel your argument.
All right. Okay. So
how many money we had?
All right. Next one. Has the UFC stopped signing talent with any outside buzz? Here are some of the more recent examples of free agents that the UFC have passed on: Roberto Soldic, Cedric Doumbé, and now the Lazy King. So this question is from Christopher Graham, and he's talking about like the UFC just signed Derek Lewis back to a contract, right? A 10 years, a 10 fight or 8 fight, every fight $500,000, right? So Derek Lewis, according to a lot, will call him like he's washed up, right? But there are people out there like MVP from PFL, from Bellator, that is out of a contract, one of the most exciting welterweights in the world. Cedric Doumbé, best kickboxer out there, right? Best striker out there, but they let him slip and PFL signed him. Although UFC signed him at one point, but he didn't get to fight due to injuries. But anyways, is this something that is going on? Do you think there's a monopoly going on? Mayo, what's up? This question, very interesting.
No. Please, Toby, go first. Toby, go first, please.
Oh, Toby, let's go.
Okay, by going first, I'm just going to ask my one another question because when I saw this,
Okay, sure.
the first thing that came into my mind was: is it because the PFL have a little bit more money to throw around to fighters that have not been proven in the MMA space? Because I remember the Cedric Doumbé one. I think the UFC really wanted him. He was supposed to be fight injuries and all, but I think PFL offered him something that the UFC couldn't match or something like that. So I think there's also the space for that conversation where it's not that the UFC doesn't want to sign these guys. It might just be that, they are not willing to offer them the same kind of contracts. What do you guys think?
100%. I don't know how much time we have. I wish you can spend another time on this question a different day. The UFC, their model has changed. The model has changed. I watch every single UFC card right now every week, and you can see how many no names are there. UFC is now focusing on tough contender series to sign artists for cheap. They're not trying to sign. Their group is very lucky because they're not like sin. They've cut out all those other old guys that are expensive, and they are filling up the roster with cheap talent from the contender series, short notice fights, and tough. That's their new plan now. That's their new business model. They're not signing anybody that's expensive anymore. They're signing cheap, young talent. That's it.
So I think because again, the monopoly, UFC would announce that, hey guys, we are coming to London. Or hey guys, we are coming to Houston. No main event, that show will get sold out. So like as a brand, it's already popular. It is bigger than everybody within the company that is not Conor McGregor or Israel Adesanya. So what's the point of signing somebody because that person is popular? If you think about it, like if you're running the business,
this is literally what it is. They don't need anybody's name, and they actually try to fight you so that you say your name will not grow bigger than their own name. This is what it is. They don't need anybody anymore. They're actively focused on signing cheap young talent. That's their target now.
Because the way they are pushing these Dana White contenders, right? Anytime you even see a fight card, they will write small DC for their name. So like just so you know, this is one of our originals. Like just the way WWE is with NXT. They'll be like, this is one of ours. Like the way they are shooting Sean O'Malley to the moon. Remember when Jamal Hill won the title, they were like, first ever Dana White Contender Series to win a title. Like, oh yeah, the program is working, isn't it? So
I remember
yeah.
Remember they have Tough. Tough is very active. They brought Tough back. They also have looking for a fight. They just put one out there. Watch it or tomorrow. Looking for all these things that they are doing are things to recruit fighters, and they are signing them on 10 and 10 and 12 and 12. That's what they are doing now. Look at every card that you see.
But do you guys think that in the long term, if you don't like the quality of fights that you watch in the UFC might just reduce because they are not investing in like the top talents?
Bro, it will not reduce.
You know what? Answer the question by yourself based on this year. Based on what you've seen this year. Do you think that the quality is the same as 2 years ago?
No. I'm saying long term because currently
I'm asking you honestly right now. If you gauge this year, forget the main events, the pay-per-views, the fight night. Do you think they're the same quality as 2 years ago? My answer is no. They've dropped already as we're speaking now. Personally, to me, if you ask me, I watch every single card judiciously, and there's a very painful fights and painful events. Boy, if you ask me,
I feel like the quality of their fights might not be the same if they don't invest in serious talent. I feel
they'll always find a guy that they'll find a Bonica, they'll find a Sean O'Malley that will come from those contenders and have a landmark. So they'll still be okay. They'll always get stars from those processes. That's what you need. You only need one. So look at what Conor did.
Okay, for instance, they have some weight classes that are packed, right? What's this? This Aljo's weight class. It's 35. A packed weight class. But if you look at the middleweight, for instance, Easy has run through that division. It's not interesting anymore. Like, okay, Pereira came in and shake the up.
This is why Monopoly is fucked up. Who else? Look at middleweight in every other organization. Where do you say middleweight division is good anywhere in the world in MMA? This is the problem. This problem with UFC being so dominant. It's just not any middleweight. There's no that's
like.
Good.
But to be honest, the last time I can remember.
And guess what UFC has done recently? Sorry, let me just finish. Let me make this point. UFC, if you notice what they've done in middleweight division so far, they've put about 4 guys from Eastern Europe that are not ranked in top 5 contender events. That's what they're trying to do, right? They put Abus, who they put on that boy. I forget his name. He's fighting. Who was he fighting? I can't remember his name right now. The guy that knocked out Phil Holt in his last fight. He's fighting another top 10 guy. Can't remember his name. Costa is fighting obviously Khamzat on ranked, fighting the top 5 guy, right? So they're trying to use that division to put those guys up. These guys are fighting 1 or 2 fights in the UFC and they're jumping to the top 10, right? So that's their plan for that division. So they're still very wise. They know how to navigate and still keep those guys cheap.
Yeah. I think the last time I would say the UFC signed a known name was Chandler. Chandler coming from Bellator. That's like the last one I can remember where people were like, it's like he came straight into the main event, right? Straight into the top of the card every single week.
To
Till
be
today.
fair,
Look at him.
they do it. To be fair, they do it. Manakapi was a big name, former champion, right? Yuri Prohaska was a big name, former champion, right? So they do it from time to time, and they put those guys straight to the top of the division too. So it's not like
Alex
a
Pereira.
lot of these guys are high risk, low reward guys. Because MVP, for example, how good is he really? He's popular, yes, but
he's popular, but he's not A-level.
Nobody's a great kickboxer, but how good is he? In the grappling. Right. So
all right, guys, we are moving to 70 minutes. We have a few more, but I think this is it. We'll continue that next week because we have like a 3 or 4 segment that we've got, but we'll do that next week. I'll save that for next week. And yeah, shout out to Christopher Graham coming clutch with a very, very good discussion topic questions. Really, really appreciate it. And yes, speaking of Christopher Graham, he said you guys are doing the Lord's work. We appreciate you, Christopher. Yeah. We've got Swag Daddy Mayowa from Lagos, Nigeria. Mayowa, it's been cool having you here today with us. Appreciate it. See you next week. Hopefully you'd be here. And the poster boy for Bad Internet Connection with his very pixelated video quality. It's Toby Ladoma Aderemi. Yes. And ladies and gentlemen, it is I, Jibril from the African Fighters. Please stay locked, like, subscribe, share, listen, join our Patreon and do all the good stuff for the African Fighters. And hopefully, my boy that is there, Demola King Dems, will be with us next week or the week after. Appreciate you too, brother. Peace. Signing out.